Okay, so here we are at the beginning of turn 9. I took Pyrrhus's bonus turn. I marked that with this thing because I don't know what else to use. He managed to push forward and get more phalanx in the line. Hoplites charged forward from the side, knocked the last cav out. Now he's still got kind of an exposed flank, but not terribly so. However, there's a lot of Roman cav there, and no elephants to keep them at bay. It's a tough fight once you get into this kind of situation where there's a dense legion and a good Greek line in place. It's really tough to make the decision to attack once they're actually engaged because you lack that advantage of the momentum of the clash. So something happens in this system that doesn't feel absolutely natural to me, which is like what's happening here. They're engaged, but nothing's happening. There's no battle. There's no rolls. There's no fighting happening. Just because neither side particularly has the advantage to attacking. The Romans are a little better off than the Greeks, but in general they've had better options with their leaders. That doesn't feel correct to me. It seems like there should be this constant degradation of those units. Now, you could say it's abstracted and making the big push is something different or whatever. Yeah, I guess. It just, again, it doesn't seem right. So stalemate where the main battle is. Depending on how I wanted to play this, I made this hex not part of play, so this unit's protected. Kind of unfair. If it hadn't been not out of play though, this unit wouldn't be there, it would be a hex back. And the net effect really is just a movement point when it comes down to it. If it wasn't protected though and it was there, then it would be able to be ravaged by the cav very easily. The Romans largely were just trying to build their line back into a stronger status. As long as they hold anything over here, they're probably doing about as well as they can. They're not allowing the upper outs across the river, and they're not losing this. The only other option is this expansion here, which they tried, and now they see a bunch of Greeks attack the Velites. And you know, the Velites handled themselves fairly well. I mean, one of them routed, but one Greek hoplite routed as well. These aren't the, oh no, this is an Italian medium infantry. Some cav coming, some Greek cav on both sides. That's really the big risk here. I may have to just pull back from there, but I don't know. Yeah, this does not look numerically pleasing. So, I don't know. I mean, there was this hope of being able to cross and maybe force things to be uglier than they were. But I don't think that's happening. I think the river's too big a barrier for either side to ever deal with reasonably. And this, well, this is just a muddled mess right now. Greeks only have the hope that they get the advantage next time and can move to the better map. Well, good old Decius Mus made a push. Charged 2 legionnaires, slamming into the end of the Greek line. Activated another one here, routed. But they managed to drive 1 phalanx and 1 hoplite off that crest of the hill. Definitely, that's an expensive attack. For example, the one that drove the phalanx, they took 5 cohesion hits. The phalanx only took 1, but 1 was enough. And it looks like the Greek line is in disarray here. We got routed units, route throughs going, units that were routed through routing. Just an ugly, ugly, ugly situation for them. And it looks pretty good for the Romans. I think they're going to gain a major upper hand at this point. Well, here's an unpleasant turn of events for the Greeks. they sent their light cav forward to hit the light infantry head on, and every one of them took a javelin hit, and every one of them failed a morale check for charging the Velites. Their leader got a failure to continue, and that's making it look like the Romans may just attempt that crossing a little heavier now. So Pyrrhus eggs his men on a little stronger and pushes units that have already moved, maybe even already fought, to hit forward. Phalanx comes and crashes a couple of legionary units here, some hoplites smashing over here, and they've really driven the Romans backwards significantly. Now, this phalanx is exposed here. That's going to be a problem. But with his first move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, he'll be able to at least activate a cav or activate that phalanx and strike into things. Masses and masses of Roman units, though, are routing, which is going to cause problems as they route through the other units. All I've got left is one leader. This happened due to a trumping of what was happening here. I didn't want to give them a chance to start rallying those forces from getting all wet or drying them off or whatever. So I've got one more unit to move, and there's not a lot to do here. I'm probably going to shift them over here and try to work on containing those Romans. Not sure. I'll come back at the end of the turn. Alright, so here we are. It's the end of 9. And we get a big 9 points off the Romans because they got an ox cart that kind of got itself in some trouble. Couldn't get out easily. Okay. So the Greeks have pushed back and gotten a lot of ground back from the Romans. Whether or not the momentum's sufficient, their forces are tired. There's some decent Roman troops there, I'm not sure. But those Roman troops were somewhat disorganized by the route through. Got more routing here. It may be hard to... The Romans really do have to pull their troops back. There is another day of battle. The game's not going to be decided on this one, and they don't want to accumulate too many points against them just on this. Also, over here, we saw what happened, and it looks like the Romans have a good little bridgehead there. Flip all these counters. Yeah, this is the fun part of the game. They had one unit route, but the Greeks had a number. Their cav, I think there was an infantry in here, took off and left, and they just did not. Yeah, medium infantry. I don't know, I may have overmoved that. That infantry may have moved like a cav unit. I don't know how it got there otherwise. Oh well. Anyway, this is definitely turning out more interesting than it was a little while ago, where the only fighting was down here. With the Romans crossing, with the threat here if they try to bring these in, threat in the middle if they try to move up. There aren't a lot of Roman leaders to move all those forces. They've got so many committed over here. But leaders can move pretty quickly. Alright, let's come back for another one. So clearly a bad move to start things off by Pyrrhus. He marched forward, hit a couple of legions, that's fine. But he went chasing cav with the infantry. We saw this happen with the Romans in Heraclea, and it worked out okay for them. They wanted to drive the cav away. Here, yeah, the Greeks wanted to drive the cav away, but now they're exposed with a couple heavy units. And chances are that's not going to go well for them at all. I'm not sure what I was thinking. I just did it, and, you know, I didn't really allow take-backs because too many things had moved. It's very seductive when you're charging forward and you see them scattering and you know, hey, as soon as I get forward I can build a decent line and everything. Well, that decent line is going to break if this thing goes flying back through it. So I'm pushing the Greeks a little too hard, I think, and they're going to for it, I guess. Well, Paris is saved. Outside of a couple of rally attempts, neither of which succeeded. One sent a unit flying and one sent a unit into the abyss. Nothing else is happening this turn. The Greeks did some rallying, rolled a 9 on the continuation, a 9 on the die roll of doom table, which says, turn's over, man. Just go reorganize everything. It's all done. Well, that's being saved by a bullet. I think that's the first time it's happened. So that's the end of 10. 25 points for the Romans. They're up to 449. Oh, they may have some routing off the map. So that may go up. No biggie. I doubt that they do. Is he in range? 1, 2, 3, 4. No. So nothing's going to leave the map this turn. And I'll clean things up. So with only 2 turns to go, this is going to be kind of an interesting situation. The Greeks want to get across the river. They're probably not going to manage that. They want to get control of this. They might manage that. Hard to tell. They don't have a lot of force to handle this cav. On the other hand, the Roman leaders have to make a choice. Do they want to go on the offensive? The cav might as well. Or do they want to try to save some of these routed units that are really a problem? Over here, though, it looks like the Romans are fairly well established. And there's a significant little Greek force retreating that somebody ought to do something about. Alright, I'm going to send this one up because it's close to big enough.